Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. We have an unboxing to do today, and it is the brand new No Motherland Without North Korea in Crisis and Cold War. This is designed by Dan Bullock and produced just now by Compass Games, who were kind enough to send me this. So let's get her open and take a look. We have the standard Compass Games 2-inch box, which is their most common box. And its box is pretty heavy too. This is a 1 to 2 player game. So there is minimally in here, I don't know what it looks like yet, but there is minimally in here a solitaire mode. So let's actually crack the shrink wrap and see what we get. I've had better shrink rips. Open her up here. And once again, this is in the I want to say new style per se, but newer, thicker Compass Games box that we've seen a lot of recently. And we did have looks like we had some extra kicking around in the box. This may be my fault because this got sent around through the mail system quite a bit before it reached me just today. And it'll be a few days before the scheduling unboxing. So it looks like we have 2 decks of cards here. Now, this is a very unique idea here in which you play the Democratic Republic of North Korea. So there's a lot of war games that, not a lot necessarily, but there's some war games at least in which you play the military side of North Korea, but this is sort of an all-encompassing military, political, economic situation in a card-driven format. And it looks offhand like it is a game that you are not going to get a comparable experience elsewhere. So there are some baggies. Let's put them there. The cards were in this plastic bag, but like I said, this spent some extra time in transit due to address change difficulties. And I thought I had gotten that ironed out. Okay, so here's another bag, which is not messed up. So I see no signs of card damage or anything like that. And the cards, there's a number on the cards, which suggests at least an ops point-based system. Those numbers appear to range from, that I can see, 1 to 3. There are also different colors, which may represent eras, because there are 3 eras in this game, once for each of the leaders of North Korea. Really interesting looking game. And, you know, when this got close and they started talking about, hey, this will be coming out anytime, I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know, man, that seems really narrow. But then I started looking at it and I'm like, this actually looks pretty interesting. So let's see what else we have here. We have an errata sheet. It says clarifications. It does not look like these are really significant clarifications. These look very mild as clarifications go. Okay, so we have a rulebook, a counter sheet, which is all red, of course, and 2 player aid cards. So the board is particularly striking, so we'll take a look at that in a second. The rulebook is 32 pages, so not a thin rulebook, but a good chunk of that is card notes from the back. So up until that point, we have about 18 or 19 pages of rules. We have, looks like, a big example of play, which is fantastic. I like to see that. So actual rules, this is fairly glossy paper, but not super glossy paper. I've seen glossier, nice and thick. It looks like we have something like 12 pages of rules here. In fairly large print. So, nice looking. I like the cover too, by the way. It's a nice cover. And I don't know offhand who does their covers. All right, so we have the 1 counter sheet of pre-rounded thick counters. Are these as thick as they're usually? Maybe. These are more along the lines of 9/16 inch or 5/8 inch counters rather than half-inch counters. So they're a little bigger. But you can see there's not like factors on them either. So you have imprisoned counters, presumably, because that's how things work in North Korea. You have these infrastructure counters, which look to be denominational from 1 to 2. Actually, there's 3s as well. defector routes, outages for power outages when their infrastructure collapses. Here's defectors. Okay, so that's fairly interesting. Relatively straightforward counter mix. There's not a lot of different kinds of counters on there, and I don't see anything with factors. We have 2-player aid cards, which are on a single-sided, again, pretty glossy stock, but I've seen glossier. I'd call it a little heavier, a little shinier than a satin finish. Again, fairly large print. Not a ton of material on these player aid cards. And then we have a mounted map board. I've been generally quite pleased with the quality of Compass Games mounted maps. So I find the map, some people are probably going to complain about it, gaming being what it is, but I actually think the map is quite striking. And I'm going to try to set it all up because it's an unusual, done in an unusual style. So we have a map area where pieces go here. We have a turn track up here. Not sure how much of this I'm getting in frame. Turns 1 to 7. We have reserves and reserves for the west. And then we have DPRK Prestige. We have a rationing track. There is a track for events in play, a track for all 3 of our fine leaders of the Democratic Republic of North Korea. We have a defector map, so that when defectors defect to the west, they progress along this track, presumably. And then we have a generation map up here. And then on the side, I want to make sure we can see this. We have these ballistic missile research cards that kind of slide under one edge of the map. And I'm not sure how that works. But that's also fairly interesting. If you've been paying any attention to international relations lately, you know that they're sure trying to become a fully nuclear armed state. And then these represent, I'm not sure what the correct terminology would be. I'm going to call them provinces within North Korea. Pretty abstract map for a fairly abstract looking game, but I don't think that that's a problem. And this actually looks topically much more interesting than I expected it to. Like I said, you look at it and say, "Oh, okay, it's a game where you play North Korea." Really? I don't know how interested people would be in that. Now, the other question I have is how does the 2-player work? Because as a solitaire exercise, this would seem to be, and it's, again, it's a 1 to 2 player game. As a solitaire exercise, it seems like it would be a natural fit because you're playing the North Koreans. I'm not sure I see as much going on for an opposing player, unless it's co-op, but I didn't think it was co-op. I could verify, however, that the other player does play the West, not like another faction of North Korea, nor does it appear to be a co-op game. So, striking map, bright red is super, super punchy. And very interesting topic. Like I said, this is a game that really is one of those things where it's like it's an interesting subject, and I think a lot of people would agree that it's an interesting subject, but nobody's really ever done a game from this standpoint previously. So let's we'll figure out what we're doing with the cards off screen here as we pack up No Motherland Without North Korea in Crisis and Cold War. And again, this is designed by Dan Bullock, and the crew at Compass Games looks like they've done a nice job putting the physical components together. The errata that's in the box certainly looks very, very mild. None of those are like, here's a huge problem with the counters of the map or anything like that. It looks like it's just a couple tiny little filling in the corners clarification. So it's nice that they're in the box, but presumably there might be more at a later time as well. So there's a chance that we'll get to play this. If you have enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe to the channel and click the little bell icon to get notified when new content comes out. If you'd like to support Ardwulf's Lair, you can definitely do so by sharing the content around on social media, or you can click on the merch store. Very fine t-shirts and coffee mugs available at the Ardwulf's Lair merch store, or the Patreon link, both of which are linked in the video description. I would like to thank you for watching, and until next time, happy wargaming.